have Bolu Michael-Biyi here with us, political analyst. He joins me to speak more on this. Bolu, you're welcome. Thank you for joining us, Bolu. Always good to have you on the show. Now, Bolu, let's talk about now and maybe in the nearest future. What could happen to Canada's economy now that it's dropped the digital tax?
Well, I think there's a right step in the right direction. I think the government of Canada acted in the interest of the people, because the Canadian economy is heavily reliant on the U.S. Economy as well, because to the north, they don't have any neighbor. The only major neighbor is the United States, and 75.9% of Canadian exports goes to the United States. And these are statistics as at to 2024, So the move by Canada protects Canadian businesses, it protects Canadian jobs. And if Canada had not made that move, they would have earned about $5.9 billion in revenue over the past 5 years, because they were going to count, for the past years up till today, So, but when you compare that $5.9 billion Canada could have made, is nothing, compared to what Canadian businesses would be paying to the U.S. companies if they were to pay tariffs. So I think it's a good step in the right direction by the Canadian government. I know there's going to be a lot of backlash back in Canada, because the Canadian government, the Liberal government, campaigned on the promise that they can face Trump, Canada strong, and the government might be considered weak now, being that they are kind of giving in to the Trump administration. It will now be like, oh, so why did we vote you if you're going to give in so easily? But even though I'm conservative, I strongly believe that the Canadian government made the right move, because the cost of production and logistics was being passed down. It was not going to be passed down to the consumers anymore.
Yeah, right move, you say. What about the other interests? Will cancelling the tax make it harder or maybe even easier for Canada to get a good trade deal with the U.S. by July 21st?
Well, I think it is, the move by Canada, kind of opens the gate to all sorts of negotiations, even beyond trade. And the Trump administration and the U.S. officials have already made it clear that they are interested in resuming trade talks, which is a positive development. So when both sit at the table, they would be able to negotiate and try to work in the best interest of their respective countries. And I believe Canada can meet the deadline of July 21st, because the template is there already. There was NAFTA. Then we have the USMCA, or otherwise known as COSMA in Canada, and it's just about refining it, what is already in place. And the people that are going to be negotiating, they've been doing this, they are familiar with the documents, they're familiar with the structure and systems, and I believe they'll be able to make the July 21st deadline. Even if they don't make it, it's okay to extend by a few days. It's all about getting the job done appropriately, because what's doing is doing well. But I do think that you cannot be able to make the July 21 date.
Now, Bolu, which Canadian businesses or groups are most affected by the tax being cancelled, and how could this impact politics in Canada?
Okay, I believe there are two categories, major categories affected and involved in this case. First is the big tech companies in Canada. Canada is a tech hub on its own. BlackBerry and the likes. Those days used to, it's Canadian companies, and a lot are growing within the Toronto area and even the western parts, Vancouver and the rest. So I think the Canadian companies would not be very happy, because now the Canadian, the U.S. products will no longer be expensive. Because when the U.S. companies pay tariff, they want to pass the costs to the consumers, and that would mean a hike in their own products. And when there's a hike in their own prices, the Canadian products will be more attractive to the consumer because it will be cheaper. So they may not be too excited, but it's better to save the masses, some money than to enrich the already rich tech companies. And the second category of the people, of course, are the consumers. Consumers are the happy ones, because they will not be, taking off the cost of production and logistics from U.S. companies. And politically, the Liberal government will be considered as weak, being that they changed, and indecisive, being that they changed their mind, a few hours to a policy kicking in. So I think the Canadian government, the Liberal government, must be expecting some backlash, and they must have been prepared. They must have prepared their answers for this. But I think they did well. They acted in the interest of the majority of Canadians.
Okay. So how might big U.S. tech companies like Google or Amazon change their plans in Canada now, now that they won't have to pay that tax?
Well, now that they won't have to pay their taxes, I think they can, they might want to invest more in Canada, and they will do so with peace of mind. If they have to pay the tariffs this year alone, they'll have paid about $1.5 billion. But this money now can be channeled into something else, either expanding their operations or expanding their offers and services in Canada. They'll create more jobs, create more opportunity for people to get involved in the industry. That money will be channeled into something else rather than, just, paying it entirely. I think they will work with peace of mind right now. And I think the major thing that they will change in their plan would be to transfer those costs to the Canadian consumer. Since the tariff is not going to be in place, or the tax is not going to be in place anymore, so there's no need anymore to pass any, because there's no cost to pass to the consumers. I think that's just the major change, from their decision.
Bolu, Michael, I want to say thank you very much for joining us, giving us your evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much.